but I'm a Jew from Brooklyn, so I'm not going to do that. It's none of your business.
And rather than complaining about it, do something about it. Absolutely, we're for it.
Patrick Bet-David brought everyone's favorite disgraced politician, Anthony Weiner, onto the PBD podcast. And let's just say it didn't take long for things to explode. As Weiner tried to defend the left's twisted stance on the woke agenda and the sexual content being pushed on kids in schools, Patrick couldn't hold back. He jumps in, calls out the hypocrisy, exposes the warped logic, and completely dismantles Weiner's argument on the spot. Let's get into it.
I can tell you how, and I have been to so many school board meetings. This is what I used to do. I would go out, I'd come back from Washington or on the city council, and I'd go to community meetings. People fight about stuff. These are not easy issues. They're not. Now, if I were a parent and my school was doing that, I'd go to a school board meeting, I'd be pissed off at that, and I think I'd probably win that case and say we shouldn't be teaching this. But
you are a parent. Not if you're a parent.
No, but
I'm
not a parent. You show me some excerpt to discuss
whether it's California, New York,
this
Florida,
is not a California excerpt.
Anthony.
That's where you and I disagree.
This is not just a
What do you mean?
California
If your 11-year-old son was exposed to this, or a grown adult, a grown man was texting your 11-year-old son, what would you do about it?
That's not the question we're suggesting. You're taking an excerpt from a California book that we all find disgusting.
What would you do if you found someone texting your son?
Wait a minute. Well, let's stick with the books for a second. I just told you what I would do if that book appeared in my son's teaching. I told you what I would do. I would go to the school board. I'd go to the administrator. I'd rally to other parents to go do it. Because that's the way we make decisions at that level about these things. We don't do it on podcasts from thousands of miles away who are profiting from not this one in particular, who are profiting from conflict. Fox News all day is around finding these foibles, accelerating into giant things in our country, talking about woke this and woke that, and every poll shows we're more divided than we've ever been. All I'm saying is that we make these decisions in an imperfect way, and I'm not saying we always get it right.
Hang on. You were poking at Pat for changing the subject. You just went to media using conflict to make ad revenue, and that's your business model. Okay, you're correct about that, but let's go back here.
Sure.
This is not a 3,000-mile away issue. There are school boards all across all 50 states. Pick one where parents are bringing this up, but they're being told no, and they're being pushed back. This book is going to be there.
You've stated that before, and I said bring me some evidence of that. I've seen more in the other direction.
Some evidence. No. And then you say, well, I didn't see that.
I've seen thousands of books that have been banned and removed from shelves and libraries all around by legislatures getting over their seats. I don't need to answer this question. Who do you think is more equipped to make these decisions for a local community?
You know a guy's completely lost the plot when he can't even admit something as basic as this. The overwhelming majority of Americans don't want sexual content in schools. Everyone with an ounce of common sense knows it's wrong. Kids go to school to learn, not to be indoctrinated, not to be sexualized, and definitely not to be groomed. Anthony Weiner keeps parroting, leave it up to the parents, but let's stop pretending parents still have control. In blue states like California and New York, parental rights have been hijacked. These states are run by ideological predators, pushing vile, explicit content on children, encouraging gender transitions in secret, and deliberately cutting parents out of the conversation. Then Weiner has the nerve to sit there and talk about how his mother was a teacher and how he wouldn't allow his 11-year-old to read sexually explicit books. Please, that's straight up snake oil salesman. A desperate politician clinging to whatever scraps of relevance the Democratic machine throws him. He's sold out, plain and simple. And every time he opens his mouth, it becomes more obvious that he's just another puppet defending the indefensible.
The local community school boards and the local community administrators or legislators a half a state away who don't even represent that district. Who would you think?
I think we've already said that. The people in the school board, but it's not happening.
But what if
that's the issue? It's not happening.
But that's your judgment. The point about 3,000 miles away is you're making a judgment on their ability to do their jobs. I get it. Maybe if I was going
to school, it's not my judgment. The books are there.
If I went to a school district in Mississippi, I might make different decisions. But I'm a Jew from Brooklyn, so I'm not going to do that.
If the books are in the classroom, that means the parents have lost, and they're in the classrooms in.
Yeah, yes, there might be a book in a classroom in Mississippi that I don't like. I'm a guy from Brooklyn, New York, and what? So maybe let's let the legislature do it. Let's let the governor do it. Maybe we should elect a president who wants to do it. I mean, it's just remember something. You want this perfect formulation of every decision being exactly where Fox News wants it at all times. No, shit's going to get screwed up sometimes.
This
we're
is not
going to
about Fox News, and I didn't say president, I didn't say legislature.
I know.
You keep going back upstream with that argument.
I'm the other way around. I'm narrowing the scope of conflict to say this is this local area.
No,
I'm
you're
using this as an
broadening the scope
alternative.
of argument.
No, I am to make the opposite argument, which I believe is being made here. You're saying we're 3,000 miles away and we don't like a decision being made in a school district in California.
No, you're narrowing.
Granted.
No, you're narrowing the point. Very good, counselor. You're narrowing the point down to 3,000 miles away as if that's the only place it's happening. It's not. The books are in classrooms all across the United States.
My friend, you're saying that over and over again, and I keep trying to make, since we don't have a specific example except the one that's been on the screen, I will make the general argument that it's none of your business.
The sheer audacity of this twisted, smug, perverted psychopath is off the charts. He sits there with that arrogant grin and actually says it's none of your business. What goes on in schools? Really? That's what you say? We all know what he's trying to do. Play word games, twist it into, well, if you don't live in California, then stay out of it. But here's the truth. Right is right and wrong is wrong, no matter what zip code you live in. If children are being harmed, abused, or indoctrinated anywhere, whether it's across the country or around the world, it becomes everyone's business. Because protecting children isn't a local issue, it's a moral obligation. When this guy says it's none of your business, what he's really saying is, if you're a parent and you don't like your child being shown graphic sexual content in school, too bad, because we've redefined the culture and some of us are just fine with it. That's not just delusional, it's dangerous. And anyone who defends it is exposing themselves as part of the problem.
It's none of your business. Your business is your school district. Your business is... Now, Anthony, the world is coming to an end because California's all fucked up.
It's the other way around. It's none of your business what I do with my kids. You don't get to teach my kids about certain issues like this on LGBTQ at certain age, and in third grade you want to talk about sex and all this stuff. That's none of your business.
Patrick, why are you so powerless?
That's none of your business.
Patrick, why are you so powerless? What goes on in your kid's school?
No, I'm not powerless.
You're
I make
not.
decisions.
Exactly.
I make decisions. I never feel powerless
exactly.
at all. No.
So why are you saying I'm not doing anything to your kids?
The concept of running for boards, you're 100% right. We did a video talking about, what was the video title, Brandon? We talked about parents, you got to go run for board, and rather than complaining about it, do something about it. Absolutely, we're for it. But to say these types of issues, you're 59 years old, 15 years older than me, in school, when you were 12 years old, did anybody teach you how to give a blowjob?
I don't believe anyone taught me how to give a blowjob, Patrick.
Do you think you needed to learn how to do that at 10 or 12 years old?
I have trouble accessing that part of my memory.
I highly doubt it. You're a very sharp guy. So for me...
I was not a player at 12, let me guarantee you.
Sucking other boys is dangling is not a player. I'm asking you a question about what it was to... If that was something you needed to learn at the age of 10 or 11 or 12. That part is...
Patrick,
how ludicrous is my question right now?
I have an 11-year-old. Ask me about my 11-year-old. That I can answer easily.
But the point is the fact that two things. One, I agree with them. One, I disagree with them. The area I agree with them is the following. Kudos to you for straight up saying, no, I don't support something like that if that was the case. Kudos to you for saying that. Now, number two, kudos to you for saying parents do something about it. They are. And many of these districts, they are. They're fighting. And they're doing their part.
In both directions.
Yeah.
They're fighting in both. They're fighting to stop book bans, and they're fighting to stop. This is the way it's been in America since the birth of our country.
But we weren't this insane 20 years ago. We weren't this
let's pause on that point.
Crazy 30 years ago.
Let's pause on this
I can give you Gallup, Pew Research, all of this stuff.
Let's pause on this point.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do believe that, yes, cultural things change, and that conversations about homosexuality, about transgender, about gay marriage have changed an enormous amount. We are a progressive country in all kinds of different ways.
Hey, Anthony, what if we removed your teeth and taught you how to give a blowjob? Someone may say that's progressive. Just a thought. And he keeps saying this country is progressive in all kinds of ways. But let's be real. What they're really saying is, let's indoctrinate children, let's expose them to sexual content, and parents, you don't get a say. This is the new culture. Deal with it. That's the left's agenda. And somehow, in places like California and New York, they're actually getting away with it. Every parent in America should be standing up right now and asking, how did we get here? Who gave these low-life politicians absolute power over our kids? Who gave them permission to hide things from parents and call it progress? Let's get something straight. If it's illegal to send sexual content to a minor online, then how in the hell is it legal to put that same content in a middle school classroom? This isn't left versus right. This is parents versus the system. And if your school board thinks they can override your role as a parent, they're wrong. If you agree, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Because silence isn't an option anymore. They're coming for your kids, and it's time to fight back.